In the 2023 Formula 1 season, we didn't see Daniel Ricciardo on the grid because the Australian driver couldn't secure a seat. However, as the season progressed, there was a turn of events. The mid-season departure of Nyck de Vries from AlphaTauri, Red Bull's second team, presented a golden opportunity for Ricciardo to re-enter the F1 scene. The burning question on everyone's mind is whether Ricciardo is plotting a return with Red Bull. Could we witness a rivalry between Ricciardo and Verstappen within the Red Bull Racing team?
But he's going to try and dive down. The inside, they have crashed! They've gone into each other!
Let's dig in and figure out what's cooking. Let's stroll down the F1 memory lane with Daniel Ricciardo. In 2014, he made a grand entrance into Red Bull, stepping up from Toro Rosso, now AlphaTauri, at the beginning of the Formula 1 season. Sharing the track with the seasoned Sebastian Vettel, a four-time world champion, Ricciardo clinched 3 victories in his debut season, securing a commendable third place in the Drivers' Championship. As Max Verstappen took over from Vettel, Ricciardo's top spot at Red Bull started slipping away. Seeking a fresh challenge, he ventured into the world of Renault, spending 2 seasons there before joining McLaren in 2021. However, his stint at McLaren was unexpectedly cut short after just 2 years, when the team and Ricciardo mutually agreed to terminate his contract at the end of the 2022 season. After his McLaren exit, Ricciardo opted for a nostalgic return to Red Bull Racing for the 2023 season, though as the third driver behind his former teammate, Verstappen and Sergio Perez. When Daniel Ricciardo hopped into the simulator at Red Bull, his boss, Christian Horner, was like, "Who's this guy? He's not the Daniel I've known for the past couple of years." The lap times weren't singing Ricciardo's praises either. But hold on, things took a turn for the better. Daniel started picking up the pace, gaining back the confidence he seemed to have misplaced recently. As Ricciardo started showing up more at Red Bull races, the spotlight shifted to Nyck de Vries. Now Nyck was having a tough time keeping up with his teammate Yuki Tsunoda, and to make matters worse, he had a few crashes early in the season. Red Bull bigwig, Helmut Marko, didn't sugarcoat it. He was pretty blunt, saying de Vries wasn't meeting their expectations. Even Franz Tost, the head honcho at AlphaTauri, didn't commit to de Vries finishing the season, just saying Nyck decides, not the team. Soon after, Nyck de Vries got the boot, and guess who rolled in to fill the gap? Daniel Ricciardo. However, Daniel Ricciardo has this dreamy idea that his stint at AlphaTauri is like a stepping stone, paving the way for a fairy tale ending to his career with Red Bull. When asked about aiming for the Red Bull Racing seat in 2025, Ricciardo shared, "I'm not putting a specific day, date, or year on it. Ending my career as a Red Bull driver would be perfect." But does Ricciardo's comeback to Red Bull make sense? According to his teammate Yuki Tsunoda, it does. Tsunoda highlighted Ricciardo's wealth of experience, larger fan base, and trusted reputation, making the move coherent. Tsunoda stated, "Daniel has more experience and obviously more fans. He is one of the more trusted drivers. He is one of the more valued drivers. So it makes sense." So who could Ricciardo replace at Red Bull? Speculation is rife that Ricciardo could replace Sergio Perez when the Mexican's Red Bull contract concludes after the 2024 season. The ultimate decision, however, hinges on the performance of both drivers in the upcoming year. Daniel Ricciardo is determined to sculpt his career without a trace of regret. His unwavering focus is crystal clear. Racing takes center stage, and he's pouring every ounce of energy into it. He emphasized, "I want to ensure this is my only priority. I'm going to put all my energy into this." The fear of looking back one day and thinking could have done more, or that career slipped a little bit out of my fingers, is a sentiment he vehemently wishes to avoid. Ricciardo has been gifted a newfound perspective, relishing every moment of it. Reflecting on the past 6 months, he marvels at the transformative power of time. "It's pretty crazy what 6 months can do," he stated, appreciating the positive shift in his outlook. Acknowledging his challenges at McLaren, Ricciardo admitted that the lack of success took a toll on his self-confidence. During 2 seasons with the Woking-based team, he struggled with adapting to the car and consistent underperformance compared to his teammates. This tumultuous period not only piled on pressure, but also invited criticism, denting his confidence further. When you're winning, it's kind of easy, but when you're not, you go through some other challenging moments where you can become a little bit frustrated, the 8-time Grand Prix winner confessed. This caused a ripple effect that led him to question his love for the sport and his hunger. However, Max Verstappen, Ricciardo's former partner from 2016 to 18, believes in Daniel's talent big time. Max stated, "I think Daniel has the talent to drive for a top team like Red Bull, but there's a catch. Daniel needs to show he still has that A game. If he can prove he's top tier, Red Bull might open its doors for him again. Max sees Daniel as a valuable asset to any team if he returns to his peak form. Being the replacement for Sergio Perez at Red Bull is no walk in the park, and Daniel Ricciardo has been given the heads up. The 2023 season didn't shine bright for the Mexican driver, who played second fiddle to teammate Max Verstappen for the third consecutive year. Perez was trailing far behind the Dutchman, finishing a staggering 290 points adrift of the now three-time world champion. Despite grabbing 2 victories in the initial 4 races of 2023, Perez couldn't clinch another checkered flag for the remainder of the season. The heat is on, and questions surround Perez's future with Red Bull. Suppose the 8-time F1 race winner Ricciardo decides to reunite with Red Bull and share the team with Verstappen down the road. In that case, former F1 driver Timo Glock has a word of caution. Glock warned Ricciardo, saying Max is just too good, and everyone knows that. Whoever steps in alongside Verstappen faces a steep learning curve to grasp the car dynamics and the specific setup tailored to Max's driving style. It's no cakewalk, according to Glock. Despite Perez's challenges, his contribution to Red Bull's overall success is undeniable. They secured their second consecutive Constructors' Championship in a year marked by dominance. While they missed out on all but one race victory, with Ferrari's Carlos Sainz clinching the Singapore Grand Prix in September, Perez's 2 wins and 9 podium finishes, combined with Verstappen's stellar performance, amassed Red Bull a whopping 860 points. This was more than double the tally of the second-place Mercedes, solidifying their status as the team to beat. At his peak, Perez provides Red Bull with everything they need, even in a closely contested championship battle. The hitch, however, lies in Perez's need to maintain that peak performance throughout the entire season, or at least 95% of it, to benefit Red Bull truly. Unfortunately, the Perez we've witnessed since Baku nearly 6 months ago hasn't consistently displayed his best, and there's even a glimpse of Ricciardo regaining 90 to 95% of his former prowess with Red Bull before his departure in 2018, when the 2024 season kicks off. In that case, Red Bull might bring Ricciardo back to the team. Ricciardo's got his work cut out for him. If he's eyeing a comeback to Red Bull and a showdown with Max Verstappen, he's got to kick things up a notch. Outperforming his 2023 form is the starting line, and topping it off, he's got to outpace his teammate Yuki Tsunoda. In the 8 races that Ricciardo revved up for AlphaTauri in 2023, Yuki Tsunoda outshone the 8-time race winner. Tsunoda clinched victory in the qualifying duel with a 4-3 score and an average time difference of 0.166 seconds. When it came to the races, Tsunoda crossed the finish line ahead of Ricciardo more often, 4-2. And to top it off, the Japanese speedster bagged more points in the 8 races they faced off, 15 to Ricciardo's 6. However, the glimmer of hope for Ricciardo's return to Red Bull has dimmed, and we can attribute that to Red Bull's team principal Christian Horner's recent statements. He's unequivocally thrown his weight behind the Mexican sensation Perez, who still has a year left on his current contract. He did acknowledge that circumstances like injury could alter plans. However, as of now, the intention is crystal clear. Perez will continue to be their driver.